I called to talk about Brock Purdy because, so there's a lot of debate among the fan base of whether he's legit or whether it's Kyle's system. And you know me, I don't like giving credit to Kyle just because he's Kyle, right? Like, if he wasn't Kyle Shanahan, if he was Joe Banana Hands, we wouldn't give all the credit of his players to him automatically, just without, any debate, just give him that deference. And I don't think he's earned it. No other coach that I can think. I mean, I don't know how many coaches in the history of the NFL have had 8 non-Super Bowl winning seasons and kept their job. It's pretty rare to go 10 years in the NFL with one franchise and not win a Super Bowl, right? So I'm looking at it like, okay, let's start with where we always start, which is Jimmy Garoppolo. I know you love you some Jimmy Garoppolo. And when Jimmy was quarterback, we always said, well, yeah, he's doing a decent job. He's a B quarterback that's being propped up by this system. But what if we had a quarterback that was mobile, that could hit those outside fade routes, that could throw over the top, that could buy time, that could actually go through all the progressions? What would this team look like? It'd be a 30-point per game team or more. Now, Jimmy's gone, and we can see that's absolutely true. That's 100% true. He goes to another team. He doesn't have the system. He doesn't have the weapons. And what is he?
Nothing.
Right. Nothing. But also, we now have a quarterback who can do all the things that we talked about, and the team is a 30-plus point per game team. So what does that say? Does that say that Brock Purdy is just average? Or does that say that he's a plus quarterback, an elite level quarterback?
A lot better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. So I'm hesitant to say this is just a product of the system, because when we look at the system, there are still a lot of flaws in this system, right? Like we look at the weapons that he has and we say, oh, well, he has the best weapons in football. Does he? Does he? Because your weapons are your offensive line too. And he does not have the best pass blocking O-line in football. That's the biggest secret that the 49er fans just love to keep, is that actually we have a bottom 10 offensive line as far as pass protection in the NFL, and one good tackle.
It's true. But
you look at
you have a great run game.
You look at his all-pro tight end, right? I mean, other teams like Minnesota has a better complement of weapons when everyone's healthy. They've got Hawkinson, they've got Jefferson, there's a lot of teams out there that have weapons. What's that?
They don't have a run game. They don't have a defense. Like, let's be honest, though. Purdy has everything.
Okay, so
two things away from him in that 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, okay, so he's got a defense. Okay, good, great. That defense didn't show up either during that 3-game losing streak. But let's be clear when we talk about best
19 points against Cleveland and 22 against Minnesota.
Yeah, but when we talk about best weapons in the NFL, he doesn't even have the best wide receiver in the NFC, right? Like, he doesn't have the best weapon.
Brandon Ayuk is on fire right now.
He's good. He's good. But look at Philly, right? Philly's got better weapons on the outside than Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. When we're just talking about pass catching weapons,
I think I'd take Ayuk over AJ Brown right now.
You are the only person. Grant,
he just needs to be on a team that gives him twice the targets.
You are the only person in the entire NFL that feels that way. AJ Brown is the best wide receiver in football. And okay, whatever. But like, you look at George Kittle. George Kittle was, a dynamic tackle breaking wide receiver, and he always had trouble in the red zone. Why did he never get touchdowns?
Jimmy.
Right. Well, Jimmy, but also what happened when Brock Purdy came along? Suddenly he went from being just, a yak guy to being probably the premier red zone weapon in the NFL right now. I mean, how many touchdowns does this guy have to score with Brock Purdy before we go, well, maybe Brock Purdy's the reason that we have red zone weapons when we have the same roster we had before? Like, there's so many ways that you can look at it and say, okay, well, there's things he could do better. But look at any quarterback in the NFL. There isn't a quarterback in the NFL that hasn't thrown up 2 or 3 stinkers of a game this year.
They should replace him. I mean, he's the quarterback of the team, especially while he's
the MVP of the season right now. I mean, if you look at him statistically, he is one of one. There is nobody in the NFL who is bottom 10 in the NFL in attempts and yet top 5 in every statistical category. Every statistical category. And he's the best quarterback in the NFL by QBR. He's the best quarterback by rating. There's no duplicate to what he's done. There's no comparable person out there that you can put him up against to say, oh, well, they're kind of similar. It's Brock Purdy, and everyone else, and the debate really only is it because of Brock Purdy, or is Kyle Shanahan just so brilliant? Are the weapons just so good that any quarterback worth his salt would have the best statistical numbers in a decade?
Like 3 weeks ago that they were coming off a 3-game losing streak with 3 straight games of 17 points, man. You're getting a little excited.
No, but here's the reason I am.
They have a lot more to prove.
Because no team in the NFL is winning the Super Bowl in this day and age without an elite quarterback. So if we're rooting for our 49ers to win the Super Bowl, then we need to be chanting MVP after every friggin' Brock Purdy touchdown. We need to be on board with Brock Purdy as the MVP of this league because he's putting up the statistical numbers, and our own fan base is sitting there dumping on him without even realizing it every time they pretend that it's somebody else's fault, that it's somebody else's credit. No, it's the quarterback, man. It's a quarterback league.
He's good. You're saying he's like the best, and he's.
I'm saying that any other fan base with a quarterback performing the way Brock Purdy was performing would be chanting MVP at every possible situation.
Remembers Jimmy Garoppolo, and he put up good numbers, and he won a lot of games. Not these good of numbers.
God, how long are we going to be haunted by the ghost of Jimmy Garoppolo?
He was here for 6 years. It was a long time. I got to take more calls, man. It's great to see you. Have a good time.
Have a good one, man.